All right. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am Jenny Bowden. I am here today with my colleague, Nicola Preibel. She will be moderating today's event. My name is Jenny again. I'm with Prime Publishing, and I attended H&H Americas last week in Rosemont, Illinois. It was a wonderful trade show. So today I am here to talk about the 5 top trends that you may have missed while walking the floor, or maybe you weren't able to join us live. So thank you for joining us in the digital after show. It is a great opportunity to catch up with some people that you may have missed and attend these great sessions. So let's get started. Before we get started, just a little bit more about me and who I am and who Prime Publishing is. We are located in Northbrook, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. We are a cooking and crafting online publishing company. So we own and operate more than 30 different websites. We have 5.4 million fans across all of our crafting social media channels. We have 3.6 million subscribers to our email newsletters. And we have 3 digital magazines, I Like Crochet, I Like Knitting, and We Like Sewing, with more than 30,000 paid members. So some of our websites here are on the screen. Fave Crafts is our biggest crafting website, followed by All Free Crochet, All Free Knitting, All Free Sewing, and Fave Quilts. Those are just a few of the many websites that we have. So we have been in the business of, promoting top trends in the crafting industry for at least 10 years. I've worked at Prime Publishing for 9 years. Actually, no, I'm sorry, 10. It was 10 last fall. So showcasing creations from bloggers, companies, publishers, influencers, designers. That really is what we do at Prime Publishing. That is our business, to help promote the latest trends in the industry, the latest products in the industry, and how people are using the products that we were lucky enough to see at H&H last week. So like I said, it was the first offspring of the world's leading trade fair, H&H Cologne. So this year it was the first time that this show was ever brought to North America. And there were 195 exhibitors with more than 2,000 attendees. There were 35 different sessions, and now we are in this digital after show. So much to see. The walking the floor can be a little overwhelming. I met with Selena Baca of the American Crochet Association. It was her first time at any one of these, at a trade show. And I walked with her a little bit, and her mind was just blown with just being on the floor for 5 minutes. So a lot of people said that they could have been at the show, all week and still had something new to see and discover, because there was just so much great stuff going on. You might have missed something big, you might not have joined at all. So that is what we are here to do today, is talk about the top things that were trending at the show as I walked around the show floor with my colleague, Nicola. So let's get started. Real quick before we dive in, the chat feature is live. So if you guys have any questions as we go, please feel free to use the chat feature. That is why Nicola is here to help manage that. So if you have any questions as we go, feel free to pop it in the chat, and Nicola will chime in with those questions and comments. And if there's anything that I may have missed, I'm only one person. And like I said, there were hundreds and hundreds of wonderful exhibitors. So if there was a trend that you saw that you want to talk about, feel free to pop it in the chat and we can chat about it. So, okay, this is what I'll be talking about today, the top 5 trends plus a bonus trend, which is just kind of an overarching theme that is hard to ignore at the show. So number 1, luxurious feeling yarn. Everything was just so soft and so cozy, and just, well, I have some pictures to show you, but just, wrapping yourself up in luxury creations made with this yarn. Number 2, wearables, kind of goes hand in hand. You want to wear soft clothing, right? So lots of garments, not so much home decor, just tons of stuff to make and wear. Ergonomics, crafting takes time. And if you craft, crochet, knit, quilt, sew for too long, you start to get, uncomfortable. So ways to make that experience more comfortable so that you can craft longer, focus on wellness and just ergonomic designs and tools and notions. So pets and animal welfare is our 4th trend. There were lots of booths that focused on making things for your pets, as well as the sourcing material of what you're using while crafting. And the 5th is sustainability, lots of recycled products, putting back into the world, something good, not taking everything, just reusing, repurposing, using recycled goods. And then the bonus one, which is quite possibly the biggest, save the best for last year, inclusive activism and diversity. I mean, there were just everywhere you looked, there was just ways to make everyone feel included and welcome, and calling attention to some of the big issues that are, is facing our country today. So let's go ahead and get started with the yarn. Okay, so this picture here is from Mod Yarns. This was their chenille yarn called Touch Me. So this is just one example of, as we walked the show floor, it felt like every single yarn booth had, a line of super soft, luxurious feeling yarn, whether it was chenille or whether it was, Angora, or I'm trying to think of some of the other super soft yarns, but Apple Fiber Studio, this is a company that creates plush hand-dyed micro-brewed yarns, and their logo, their motto is "It all starts with a touch." So obviously if something isn't soft, you don't want to make something with it. I mean, there are times that you can use not soft yarn. It doesn't make a difference, like a coaster or something, that doesn't need to be soft. But if you're going to be making something to put on your body, you want it to be super soft, super comfortable. Lion Brand had their Feels Like Butter, Feels Like Bliss, and Feels Like Heaven. And one of them, I think it was Feels Like Heaven, they compared it to, the Kim Kardashian Skims line, where it's just like uber soft. You want to make it and you wear it, you want to feel comfortable in the creations. You spend so much time creating something, and you hate to put it on and have it feel scratchy and itchy. There's a time and a place for that type of yarn, obviously. But the focus this year, which we'll get into on the next slide, is there's a lot of wearables. So we can just kind of skip ahead since I'm segueing into that anyway. Wearables, so much stuff to wear. You make all this wonderful products. In years past, there were a lot of home decor items, like I said, coasters, wall hangings, macrame, baskets. This year, I didn't see as many things like that. There was a bigger focus on wearable garments. So tons of sweaters, tons of cardigans, shawls. I skipped this. Walking the show floor, if I had $1 for every super cropped sweater that I saw someone wearing, I'd be loaded, because everywhere I looked, it felt like people were wearing super cropped sweaters. So that is definitely trending right now. And they were all beautiful handmade designs. I wish I had taken a picture, but I felt kind of weird taking pictures, as of people walking that I didn't talk to. So super cropped sweaters were definitely trending. But then looking ahead to the fall, there were a lot of oversized and bulky pieces that people were making. There's a picture here from Universal Yarns. They just had an entire clothing rack of sweaters and cardigans and shawls. Lots of them were oversized and bulky. So, I think cropped is trending right now, which makes sense. It's the summer, you're active. And then once the weather starts to kind of cool off, at least here in the Midwest, people are going to really be looking for bulky garments, oversized garments. I don't have a picture of it, but checker motifs were really big. I saw a couple patterns made using like a checkerboard pattern. Knit and crochet dresses. This beautiful dress, I think this was Freya Fibers. This was on display. I feel like everyone was taking a picture of this beautiful dress. Not super practical for every day, but definitely impressive nonetheless. I couldn't help but take a picture of that. And then lots of sets, tops and skirts. So coordinating outfits, coordinating pieces that went together. So I definitely saw a trend, overarching trend of just more wearables this year versus home decor.
Jenny, I wanted to give a shout out to the sweater that you can first see on this rack is actually designed by Roseanne Fleischauer. She crocheted that for I Like Crochet, and it was featured in the Universal booth. So it was fun to see that kind of in person again. I'll put the link in the chat so you can see what it looks like. It's hard to tell on a hanger, but like it is oversized. It's more for summer, but the oversized element is definitely present.
Yes, thank you, Nicola. And you can see in the background just some, tank tops. So again, people are just super into wearing what they're making, which is awesome. And I've even just this year, like in my own personal life, Target, I know, has tons of knit and crochet pieces that you can buy and wear. So I think just wearable pieces in general it's great to see. It's great to see, you can only have so many baskets, right? But when you get to take that design and wear it all day long and show it off is really fun. Okay, the third trend of the show was ergonomics. So, you spend all this time hunched over your desk sewing or quilting or sitting on the couch crocheting or knitting, your hands might start to hurt. your back might start to hurt, or maybe you're just like your eyes from squinting are starting to hurt. So it felt like everywhere I looked, one of the companies had an answer to that. So ergonomics was just a huge focus as we walked the floor. Arrow Sewing was one company that we've worked with at Prime Publishing. Actually, they have wonderful tables, sewing cabinets, hydraulic sewing chairs that just are designed with comfort in mind. So that'll help you be able to sew for longer and not get uncomfortable as you're doing it. So tons of just literally furniture for your crafting room that help you make your experience better. Harbor Sales, another company that we haven't worked with quite yet, but we met at the show. Their product, Vivilux, they are LED lights and lasers specifically made for the crafting industry. So this will help you see better. I mean, you have your overhead lights in your room, great, but if you're working on like a little tiny detail piece of embroidery and you just need to see better, these lights will help alleviate some of that pain from squinting. It'll help you just be able to see your product better. Prim Ergonomics. So Prim is a company that produces yarn and notions, and they have a whole line of knitting needles and crochet hooks so that you can knit and crochet longer with more comfort. And here you can see a picture from the show floor of their some of their knitting needles and crochet hooks. So you can see they're just designed for more ergonomic comfort, pleasure. My Two Ladies Knitting is this adorable lady. I forgot her name, but she is from Boston, and she designed a brand new ergonomic luxury needle system that she was at the show promoting. And she invented it herself and she patented it. And I can try to find, if Nicola can maybe find a link, she can maybe put it in the chat for you guys. But this was a single woman that just one person by herself just found a need, identified a need in the industry for a more ergonomic system for knitting, and she made it and she patented it and she was there trying to sell it. So that was awesome. That was she was a nice lady to meet. So comfort and crafting was key. Okay, pets and animal welfare. So this is actually kind of, I mean, it all comes down to animals, but there were two things I kind of wanted to touch on with this slide. You know, not only were there a ton of designs and creations and products marketed for your furry friends, cats, dogs, and the like, but also just an overarching theme of taking care of the animals that we use to create the products in the crafting industry. So animal welfare in terms of your yarn and your wool and the products that we are using to create all these things. So first, just at the top, you can see the top right of this picture, there's some cat beds from a company called Fibers of Life, and then the dog and cat toys. Those were just so cute. I couldn't help but take a picture of those. So cat beds, dog toys made of natural fibers. And then over here on the left, there's the little sleeping beagle, and then the cat, you know, that's from, I believe it's Leisure Arts, their diamond art. So cats and dogs are just always an overarching theme in crafting. And then in the bottom right, there's June Taylor. Those are some placemats for your animals, your cat and dog placemats, quilted placemats. And then right here in the middle is a dog sweater. This was from the Appalachian Baby Design booth. So it felt like every booth had some, you know, something for your cats and dogs at home. So the family is, you know, including your furry friends these days. So you can't ignore the dogs and cats. So that was a trend, but even bigger, even more so than dogs and cats is just the focus on animal welfare and the products that you are making and sourcing the material. So the Responsible Wool Standard, you can see here, this snip here is from the booth Etrofil. So they had a sign on their booth just promoting that they were part of the Responsible Wool Standard. So the RWS, it's an industry tool designed to recognize the best practices of farmers, ensuring that the wool that's being used is coming from farms with a progressive approach to managing their land, and from sheep that have been treated properly and responsibly. And side note, one of my personal highlights of the whole show, I was standing in line at Starbucks with Nicola, and we just happened to meet Jeannie Carver, and we had no idea who she was or, you know, why she was there. And we got to talking to her, And she's the owner of Shaniko Wool Company. And then I, of course, like Googled her after and was just like blown away. I mean, I was blown away talking to her, but after I even went home and like Googled her later, she was just amazing. She is the owner of this wool company, and she helped to oversee the expansion of RWS certified American wool into a variety of different products and markets by working with the ranchers. She owns, I forgot how many ranches, but she owns ranches. Nicola just unmuted herself. Maybe she.
I think it was 9.
Nine different ranches. So she is kind of, I don't know, grassroots isn't the word I'm looking for, but she's like where it all starts. She's there on the ranch, making sure that the sheep are being taken care of, and she's working with designers and brands and United States supply chain partners to help make sure that the products that we're using are being taken care of, and that the RWS is expanding into new markets, not just knit and crochet, but she actually became the source of Ralph Lauren discovered her, and they used her yarn, the yarn from Shaniko Wool Company, in the Olympics. So that was in, I think, 2014, and then they used it again in 2018 and 2022. So it's expanding into different markets, not just to the crafting industry with our wool and yarn. It's making its way into the fashion industry as well. So we kind of already talked about Fibers of Life. That was the company that made the dog and cat toys. They make tons of other stuff too, which kind of leads me into our next slide of sustainability. But Fibers of Life, they're the ones that made the cat beds and the dog toys and the cat toys up here. They make fair trade and zero waste products with artisans in Nepal, and they create a social and economic impact through their goods by producing with registered fair trade artisan associations. And on top of it, they give 5% of their product sales from the felt dog bone toy to the Kathmandu Animal Treatment Center. So just animal welfare, taking care of the animals and making sure that the products we're using are coming from a good place. So I will lead that into our 5th trend, sustainability. Lion Brand Yarn had a big booth and a whole wall dedicated to their sustainable yarn line. So that is called Respun. Baracco had a yarn, Renew. Appalachian Baby Design, they have eco-washable wool. All of their yarn is from the United States. Clothworks is a fabric company. It's 100% sourced in the USA. They produce 3 of their brands. American Made brand is one of their fabric lines, as well as Everyday Organic, so organic fabrics made in the United States. And then Soak is laundry soap, and they make not only soap but also garment bags, and it's all eco-friendly. It's good for your fabrics and for the planet. So they were there promoting their eco wash bag as well as their laundry soap. So it's all, the bags are made from recycled water bottles, and then they were actually putting them together in a kit, which is another trend that I almost included. Just a lot of people had kits, so helping make it easy for the beginner crafter to get started. But Soak had a little kit where you could buy the soap plus the garment bag plus a little wash basin to wash all of these beautiful handmade wearables that you're making in an eco-friendly way. So those are the top 5 trends, but I could not do this presentation with you guys today without talking about, I put this as a bonus trend because it was just everywhere you look, this whole trade show is just focused on inclusivity, activism, which actually there's a, hashtag I can't even say it, craftivism. I don't know. It's like the craft industry working towards activism and diversity. So these photos here are from Instagram. Hands Occupied is Heidi Gustad, and then Kate, I actually am not sure who Kate was. She posted this on her Instagram, so I included it in here. So full credit to these 2 influencers on sharing their photos with me today. But Knit the Rainbow is we can get in, I'll just get into it, and then I'll come back to the inclusive sizing and inclusive pricing. But Knit the Rainbow is really cool. They had a whole booth there. It is a nonprofit organization based in New York City. Their mission is to collect handmade knit and crochet winter garments such as scarves, beanies, mittens, socks, and cardigans from volunteers around the country and distribute them to houseless and at-risk LGBTQ youth. So they actually had, not only did they have a booth there raising awareness of their efforts and who they are, but there was also an event at the show. It was called Knit Under the Rainbow, and it was outside, and it was sponsored by Lion Brand. Their goal was to bring 500 knitters together to craft under the stars. So I was unable to attend that in person, but I saw tons of pictures on social media, and I'm sure that they met their goal of, I think more than 500 people were there together helping to knit the rainbow. So maybe, I'm sorry to put Nicola on the spot, but Nicola, feel free to grab a link for Knit the Rainbow and put that in the chat so you can learn more about their initiative and what they are doing. Okay, and then the Social Justice Sewing Academy. It was hard to ignore this. This was a beautiful display right on the trade show floor. So the Social Justice Sewing Academy is a nonprofit organization founded in 2017 that aims to empower individuals to utilize text art for personal transformation, community cohesion, and to bring the journey toward becoming an agent of social change. So they had this beautiful display. It was called the Remembrance Project. And it was meant to memorialize the lives lost to community violence. And the banners that were created for this project were on display at the show. And they were made by adult quilters without any formal art training. And it was just really, I mean, you can see Heidi's note here at the bottom of her picture. She said, BRB crying at the craft show. I mean, it was really emotional. It was really beautiful. It was really well done. And I'm sorry I don't have more pictures, but if you look on social media, I'm sure you can find tons and tons of pictures of the display that was at the show, and you can feel like you were there because it was really, truly beautiful and something nice to see. And then, you know, back to the slide, inclusive sizing and inclusive pricing. It felt like pricing. Sizing, I think it was Knit Circus or Circus Yarns, I forgot the name, but a lot of the companies had patterns, making it really easy to make patterns for any size. So take this shawl pattern if you need a size bigger, a size smaller. It felt like every pattern designer and yarn company made it really easy in their patterns to adjust sizing. So that was really nice to see. And then inclusive pricing. So they had like a lot of companies had different tiers of pricing. So if you were just starting out and you didn't want to spend a lot of money on a certain product, they had like their beginner basic getting started. Or if you were more experienced and wanted to like really, you know, drop a few dollars, like they had the more expensive option as well. So just a lot of companies are being a little bit more conscious of the consumer and their spending habits and offering options, different price point options based on what you're looking to do. So, okay, well, that's all I have. That was a lot of stuff, I'm sure. Like I said, this was the first show in America. So thank you to the team at Cullen Messe for bringing the show to North America. I had a great time. I mean, I almost like have no words for how magical it was. And I kind of just, I was thinking, I don't know if it's the fact that this was the first trade show for a lot of these people since COVID, or if it was the combination of the fact that it was the first show in America. I think it was both. I think it was truly just the winning combination that this was the first trade show that so many of these companies and bloggers and influencers attended after COVID, that it was just so refreshing to be in person and to see all these great products and to see a lot of their old friends in person, face to face. So everyone was just so happy to be there and so welcoming. And then the fact that this was the first ever trade show like this in North America, I think those two factors combined made this just the most magical, happy place to be last week. And if you didn't attend in person last week, thank you for being here on the digital after show. This is going through July 1st. Sign up for all the sessions. You can rewatch all of the sofa talks and the sessions from the event last week. And then if you didn't attend this year, please join us next year. The next show in Rosemont will be June 22nd through June 24th. And then there's also, of course, the show in Cologne, Germany from March 31st to April 2nd. So if you are from Europe, that might be a little bit easier for you guys to attend, but please save the date for the show in Rosemont next year. Because like I said, it was just a wonderful, welcoming, happy place to be. Everyone was just so kind and so happy to share what they've been working on and share what they're working on moving forward and the latest products that they have. And the designers and influencers were just so eager to use all of the products and get back to work and start crafting and making beautiful designs. So again, this is, my name is Jenny Bowden. This is my contact information if anyone has any questions, but that is all I have prepared. So let's go to the chat. I see lots of things happening in the chat here. So if you guys have anything to share, if I missed anything, any trends, we'd love to hear from you.
We do have a question from Edie. How did it compare to a TNNA show from 5 years ago or pre-COVID Creativation?
I don't know if I ever went to a TNNA show, so I'm going to defer to Nicola. But before I just do that, I have gone to many Creativation shows, and at Prime Publishing, we work our most popular websites are crochet, knitting, sewing, and quilting. Like those are the two niches that just always blow it out of the water. We have the most subscribers to those email newsletters. So I think the knitting and the crochet and fiber and fabric industries are, really our bread and butter. So when we've gone to Creativation, I felt like we were always trying to find the few yarn companies, and we worked with a lot of them already. So Creativation, I've always felt like was 90% general crafting and mixed media, paper crafting. And this was really just Creativation, but only fiber and fabric, but so bigger and better. I mean, it felt like I was walking the floor at Creativation, but it was just yarn and it was just fiber, and it was amazing because there were so many companies that we have never worked with at Prime Publishing, because they never made their way to North America to attend one of these shows before, because Creativation, the bigger focus I think was just on mixed media and paper crafting and scrapbooking. So it was kind of like you were walking at Creativation, but it was just aisles of yarn and aisles of fiber and sewing and quilting. So it's kind of like just the fiber and fabric version of Creativation. But Nicola can kind of talk more about the difference between TNNA.
Yeah, and I would say too, it's been a while since I've been to a Creativation. Even before COVID, I think it had been a few years. And yeah, it feels different. I mean, it felt bigger, and we kind of were walking around saying, wow, everything is so beautiful. And not to say that Creativation isn't wonderful. We had a really great time there, made a lot of great connections at, all the shows we go to. But yeah, this one definitely felt different. It just felt a bit, kind of impressive is what I would say. And then TNNA, I haven't been to, I think I went to the one in California when I first started. It's been a while. That one again it's more just yarn focused and a bit more, I don't know, maybe teaching focused. Trying to compare it, it's kind of hard. Maybe a bit smaller, maybe a bit more niche. I really liked how H&H was more broad, and it was also, I feel like, a bit more crochet acceptance. There was a bit more variety for both knit and crochet. I feel like that might just be a sign of the times too. I feel like we're getting to the point where both are very equally accepted in terms of, just being on the same playing field, and just having equal representation in different booths and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I had a really great time at H&H. I think it was really fun. I got to meet some of my designers for the first time after emailing them for almost, 8 years. I've been working with people, and finally seeing them in person has been really fun. So
I think Darren has his hand up. He might have a question. And then Anne, I see in the chat, she wanted to see a slide of all 5 trends. So I'm just going back to that real quick.
Here we go.
Darren, you're on mute.
I was just going to add additional commentary. Granted, yes, for those I had to introduce myself, my name's Darren Son. I'm the director of the show of H&H Americas, so I'm a little bit biased. But I think in what our goal was to do, which didn't really exist before, is to unite the fiber arts, as our title conveys, right? So it's not just indie hand dyers in the indie untangled zone, or an established dyer like Koigu, or then you have the Baroccos and the trendsetters for kind of larger distributors, Universal Yarns. But then you have companies like line brands, right? A different end of the market, a different type of product, a different type of customer. Or the international companies, there was about 20 somewhat companies coming from Turkey. There was companies from India. There was companies from Brazil. That internationalism, there was 23 different nations of exhibitors. Total attendance had over 43 different nations in attendance. So it's surprising to me as you walk into a booth and someone's from Czechoslovakia writing an order with Camelot. And then the cross-pollination of fabric vendors, thread vendors, some sewing machines, needles, yarn. It just was the complete fiber Super Bowl, Olympics, however you want to put it. I think that was, to me, our key goal, and what Europe is used to, all of these things being together, where in America for the last 15 or 20 years, things have been splintered all over the place. Yes, we had needlepointed represented as well. I mean, cross stitch. I don't personally, and I'm not the expert as many as all of you on this call, I don't think there was a part of the fiber arts world that wasn't at least one or two people offering those sectors or being represented.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of where I was coming from with that last slide where I said it was just like the winning combination. I mean, I just felt so welcomed the whole show. It just felt like an overwhelming, you know, happy place to be. I truly think you guys accomplished uniting all of those different elements together in those two industries. So it just felt very united and very together. And I do see, you know, back to that slide of where I said it was a post-COVID show. I apologize. I know that it's not post-COVID. I know COVID cases are surging. And I'm sorry if, you know, for those of you that have it now, and I didn't mean to say it was post-COVID. I know COVID is still very much happening. Trade shows were canceled during COVID. And so trade shows are opening back up again. So I misspoke when I said it was post-COVID. I know COVID is still very much a thing. But for many people, including myself, this was the first show since COVID happened, started, you know, in 2020. This was the first show that I attended since COVID became a part of our lives. So I'm very sorry if I misspoke and said it was post-COVID. I know COVID is still very, very much real. So.
We have a comment commenting, you know, I really hope the non-yarn based fibercrafts continue to be represented. And I think that's, to Darren's point, I think that's probably the main goal. Just that, you know, these are related in a lot of ways. There's a lot of different elements that are very similar. A lot of people dabble in all sorts of fibercrafts. And I think we probably will see more fabric and sewing and quilting type companies hopefully next year, just kind of broaden that aspect. I don't think that that's going to go away. I think that'll be a main facet of this show. Am I right, Darren?
Well, I was going to say, even by the number of companies that had walked the show to check out a first year show, knock on wood, whatever you want to knock on, we'll tell you know, proof is in the pudding. We'll tell you in just under 364 days, whatever we are now, to the next show. Those companies were walking the floor, even some very notable fabric brands that are looking to expand their markets and find new types of places. And, you know, some of the ideas of, you know, the living in a COVID world, that, you know, whether we always will live in the state of how it is, that's why we're able to use this technology today, where we wanted to provide an online platform for folks that can't, whether it's health reasons, financial reasons, store reasons, whatever the reason. If you couldn't make it to the show, you don't have to say, no, I can't attend, because you can use the online platform that you're all on today to request one-on-one meetings, have video meetings with exhibitors, network with the folks here from Prime Media and ask them for an appointment. It's like a little LinkedIn community. Yes. So you can have a digital trade show as well as a physical trade show to stay connected to your industries.
Yeah, the app is really helpful. I was really impressed with how that helped us connect with people and reach, you know, kind of prioritize how our days went at the show. And I think that technology aspect, like you said, is going to be a big factor. And, you know, we're living in a different type of world. And I think this is one way to kind of bridge that gap and bring it all together. Rebecca George mentioned that the color pink will be a big trend in the next year. I agree. I feel like we did see a lot of pink. Everything was very bright. I think a blush pink is still really popular, and I think we'll just see lots of shades of pink. And I don't know, maybe that's the next Pantone color of the year. Maybe we can call it now and say that it'll be pink next year.
You know, walking the floor, I kept trying to identify what the next sloth is or the next llama. I feel like 5 years ago, llamas were everywhere and sloths were everywhere. And I wasn't able to really identify one animal that's going to be really trendy coming up. I did notice a couple like sea creatures. There was a knit sweater with a big octopus on it. And then I think at the Soak booth, or it was a shared booth. So I forgot the yarn company that was sharing their booth with Soak, but they had like these cute little knit sea creatures, like a whale and I think a narwhal. So maybe sea creatures will be the next llama.
I think everyone's been missing going to the beach. Maybe that's the key there. I know I do. Yeah, and with every show, there's obviously technological advances and maybe some challenges. We'll take your note into consideration, Lucinda. We'll let Darren know.
Yeah.
I think it just might be, the first time we've got some international, phones in the works, and who knows how that all works out. I think it'll be all right. But yeah, I mean, I think it was really fun.
I saw a comment from Ala. She said, I really hope the non-yarn based fiber crafts continue to be represented. That's kind of goes into another trend that I almost included here, natural materials. There was like a lot of cork and bamboo. So, not necessarily just yarn, but looking towards nature to see what other materials we can use in our crafting. So Ala, I think I agree with you, and I think they will continue to be represented.
Yeah, and then that goes into all the fabric pieces as well, where I think there'll be more next year. But there were lots of natural, and actually a lot of natural colors too. I felt like a lot of earth tones. I think that was really popular across all the booths, where we had a lot of bright colors. We also had a lot of nice and neutrals, but not necessarily like just cream and white and black. It was more like tans and browns, mustards, green, like kind of hunter green and olive green and sage and stuff like that. I felt like those colors were really popular. And also, it's summertime. We're not going to show Christmas colors right now typically. So it might just be the season we're in. I feel like that was kind of the mood that was set. But yeah.
And I saw a comment too about, did the companies talk about how the yarn was sustainable? And the only one I know offhand is I talked to Lion Brand about their respun yarn, and that is actually spun from recycled plastics, which obviously helps keep bottles and other waste out of our oceans and landfills. So it was really soft, which is surprising. It might not be top of mind when you hear plastic water bottles turned into yarn, but it was very soft, which would make it really great for garments and other accessories and home decor items. So
I think that was really fun, being able to touch the yarn. You're like, wow, this came from what? Like, I don't know. And there's another line, I think maybe the Renew line that they have that was made from recycled denim. So you can when you have see denim donations, or, get rid of your old jeans, that's kind of where that probably goes to be spun into other fibers or to make new denim or whatever. But yeah, again, really soft. And I've had several designers use recycled yarn, and sometimes we push that initiative in April for Earth Month or whatever. So it's it was nice to see a very overarching trend. I feel like talking to, was Jean, right? Is that her name?
Jeannie.
Right. That was the first, we went to Starbucks, we talked to her right away. And then that just kind of started the whole trend that we saw throughout the show, is just this, all different types of being sustainable, or, conscious of how your products are being produced. I think she even mentioned that they have how did she phrase it? Something about the carbon footprint being negative, right? It was a negative carbon footprint. And I think more people are thinking about that in their day-to-day lives. And now to be able to say that their crafting is also, contributing to, or not contributing to carbon. I mean, I think that's an element that we're going to see a lot of consumers focus on, is trying to make sure that they are thinking about, they're conscious of their decisions when they're crafting.
Yeah. There's this, I forgot who it was, but there was a whole sofa talk on sustainability in the crafting industry. So I would encourage you guys to go watch that. I watched the first few minutes of it before this presentation of mine today. So I'm going to go back and finish watching it, but they were talking about how, not only is it kind of being sustainable is your kind of like a moral obligation, like what you want to do, but a lot of the yarn shops are saying, they're letting their customers teach them about what's important to them. So the customers are kind of, calling the shots and saying, hey, I want sustainable yarn. So not only is it, the feel good thing to do at the end of the day, but it's what everyone wants. It's kind of like your moral obligation to do that. So
the name of that SOFA talk was Sustainability, Green Your Store, Source Locally, and Educate Your Customers.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to go finish watching that. It was really good from the first 10 minutes of what I watched. So. Okay, any other questions for us today, everyone? How many of you are attending just digitally versus following up from your experience in real life? I know, Edie, you were not there live, but I'm happy to see you in the digital after show. So thanks, Edie.
Oh, someone raised a hand.
Happy to be here digitally, yes. Carrie, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us. Well, all right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the digital after show, and hopefully we will be able to see some of your faces in person next year. But until then, please feel free to check out the digital after show, go find some more sessions from last week. Plus there are a lot of new sessions that are happening just digitally this week as well. So thank you again for being here, and we look forward to working with you all soon.